So that ended up being a really interesting practice in repetition. By keeping the bass line exactly the same the entire song and letting the strings change above it, I was able to see how much of a change the bass line can make. Normally in a song, a bass will change its note along with the chords. In fact, a lot of times the chords follow the bass note. However, I chose to literally play the same notes the entire song, in this case, mostly B flat. So when the rest of the strings went to a G minor chord or a E flat chord, the bass was still resting on the B flat. In certain cases, this can be called an inversion if the bass note happens to be part of the chord. In other cases, when the bass note is not part of the chord, it can sometimes be called a reharmonization. At times this created a really interesting rub in the song, and in other times it was just kind of odd. However, I managed to sneak some flashy runs in there at the beginning and tail ends. The bass line I chose was initially just the first of three. This was by far the mellowest of the three bass lines. Here are the other two. These three bass lines were just my favorites out of 20 others that I had been sketching out. By the time I finished recording the strings, I was running out of days to finish this week's project, so I decided to stick to the first section, especially because the strings came out so nicely. I took a lot of inspiration for this bass line from Daniel Lanois' The Maker, especially in its elongated melodic style. It's an unorthodox line, in great contrast to the more percussive, rhythmic bass lines found in James Brown's songs. Thank you to everybody who sent me your bass line song recommendations. They were wild, challenging, and taught me a lot. Here's a sampling of my attempts to learn these songs. You can be sure that I'll be incorporating a lot more electric bass in my songs from now on. I love the mellow, warm, vintage tone of this bass, especially with the flat wound strings when played closer up by the fingerboard. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll be in touch soon with next week's project.